I'm Kieran from Sow The City, and today I'm going to be taking you through making a really simple wicking planter. In order to make your wicking planter, you're going to require a few pieces of very easily attainable materials. Nothing too expensive. Most of the stuff that you'll be able to get at your local hardware store, so B&Q, Homebase, something like that. There's a list of things here that are, some of them nice to have and some things that we need to have. To make your wicking planter, you're going to need some 10mm pea gravel. This needs to be fully rinsed before you use it within your planter, just to get rid of any contaminants or anything that's going to affect your plant growth. As well as this, you're going to need some peat-free compost. If you have any other organic material that can go in the base of your planter, that's ideal as well. It's worth getting the best compost that you can afford though, because it makes a huge difference in terms of planting and the growth of your plants. You're going to need, of course, a trug. So this is what we're going to be using to actually house our planter. Some things that are not necessarily that you need to have, but are nice to have, are something that's going to feed down into your reservoir. So either a piece of old hose pipe or something a little bit specialist. This is used for watering trees, but a little piece of pipe like this is absolutely ideal. Finally, you need some fabric that's going to go within your planter, and this is going to separate the level between your reservoir and your compost. And here, this is a mulch mat, so this is made from natural material. But even if you've got an old t-shirt, would work absolutely fine, just whatever you've got to hand. Finally, something else that's nice to have is some horticultural grit, just to top dress your planter. Say this is not absolutely necessary to have. This is something that's nice to have though if you've got it available. Tool wise, again, something that's nice to have but you don't need to have. If you've got a drill with a hole saw, that's perfect for putting a hole inside your wicking planter. But failing that, a pair of scissors or some secateurs, something that you're going to be able to puncture your planter, would be absolutely fine. The actual construction of your wicking planter is incredibly simple. There isn't that many steps. And the first thing we're going to do is drill a hole into the side of our trug. This is going to be the overflow. So at the bottom of our trug is going to go the gravel. That's where our water reservoir is going to be. What we don't want is to have too much water sitting in the bottom of the trug. So the first thing we're going to do is just put a hole in the side of our trug. And this is going to be probably about, I'd say about 2 inches from the bottom. There we go. This is where any of our water is going to be able to flow out, so our plants aren't sitting in water that's going to get too stagnant. The next step is we're going to fill the bottom of our trug with our gravel. So you can see there we've got probably a couple of inches of gravel in the bottom. Next, on top of this is going to go your t-shirt or your mulch mat, whatever material that you have available. One thing to mention when we're putting in the mulch mat is that we want that hole to be covered here. If our hole's not covered, then we're going to risk any of our gravel and our compost falling out the bottom of the planter. So we're just going to make sure that hole's covered up, making sure that we've covered all the gravel there. And finally, in goes our compost. So we're going to fill this one right up. Spread your compost out. Try to fill more than you think you'll need, because obviously over time your compost is going to settle and start to sink a little bit lower. And then finally, you're going to take your piece of hose. So either whatever size you have, this one's going to mean that it's easier to fill up. So we're going to be able to fill this one up a little bit quicker. This one, obviously, a thinner piece of hose is going to be a little bit more fiddly, but you can get creative and see what you can come up with. And then our hose is just going to sit down the side. The one thing to watch with putting your hose in is that we're not going too close to our hole at the front here, because obviously if we put it there, our water's just going to run out straight away. So down to the bottom and making sure that we're feeding into that reservoir. And then we're going to pack that in on the side there. What wicking planters are best for are things that are going to be quite affected by irregular watering patterns. So tomatoes is the prime example. So this is absolutely ideal. Putting a tomato in your wicking planter is perfect. Tomatoes are one of the few plants that are really affected if they're not watered on a regular basis, and obviously we can regulate that watering by using the wicking planter. Something else that's quite good is something like a summer squash. So a courgette will work quite well in your wicking planter. Obviously this is ideal if it's outside. It's not something that we normally grow within the greenhouse. And for smaller plants like chilies, the beauty of this is we can fit in more than one chili plant. So in a trug this size, we could easily get in 3, potentially 4 chili plants, and they grow quite happily together. So for a pot this size, 1 tomato plant is ample. You could put more than 1 tomato in, but it's not going to guarantee that you're going to get bigger and better plants. So 1 should be absolutely fine for a pot this size. So the plant's going to go in nice and deep. And finally, once you've got to this stage, if you want to top dress, so all your top dressing is going to do is just help retain some of that moisture. If something's growing in the greenhouse, that's obviously pretty important. So you can top dress with anything, with some organic material, or even, in this case, we'll just top dress with some horticultural grit. And all that's left to do with this is to actually fill up some water into our reservoir. In goes our water. This will start to fill up the reservoir at the bottom. The beauty with this is that we know how much water we can put in, and we're not wasting any water. So the plant will have access to this water, and it can take as much as it needs. And obviously, having a plant that's having to grow down to find the water, it's going to produce stronger roots, and also that's going to lead to a much healthier plant. If you'd like more information about making a wicking planter or more growing tips, you can head to the In Our Nature website.